Hey everybody, welcome back. The previous video on this was a rumble only video, so if you want to check that out, you're free to do so. It came before this speed run, and just to let you know, this speed run didn't go so well. And I keep hitting 35 miles an hour, 34, 35, and I've got it geared up really high now. And I may be pushing against what the motor has in it, because at 35 miles an hour, there's a lot of aerodynamic and mechanical loading on the motor that's not here present on the dyno. I know it can hit a wheel speed of over 40 miles per hour. I've done it on my speed checker. You'll see that later in the video if you stick around. But it's a different thing on the street. It just is. There's a lot of things going on, and the tire swell is incredible. I'm kind of surprised it stayed together, but that's what to look for in this video. And if you're interested, feel free to jump ahead. A lot of it's just failed runs, but the dyno run at the end, it hits 66 kilometers per hour, and I figured out that is like 41 miles an hour, and it still had a little bit more in it, but that's when the motor mount ended up sliding and losing the gear mesh. So that's the nutshell, and here's the rest of the video. We're back for another land speed record attempt with the SPEEDBOLT, and I've done a little bit of work. There's a video on Rumble that shows some of the modifications I've done since the last run. You can see that I've reset the GPS max speed to 0.0, and we're going to see what it does right now. The whole wheel came off. I blew the wheel completely off of the axle, so that's a new front axle before we have another shot at it. Maybe. Hold on. You could just pop it right back on, and we're going for it again. Didn't crash. I'll find out what it says.
Okay.
Didn't register.
Oh? Ah.
I gotta put it back together through the drive shaft out. And this, it flipped my axle again. You can flip it back, but pop the whole drive shaft out. Alright. I'm gonna try it a few more times. I zeroed it, put the drive shaft back together, and we are showing a maximum speed of 0.0. Let's try for that 40 plus. GPS came off again.
Yeah.
Running out of radio range, man. That's a problem.
You need two batteries?
Maybe.
And your controller?
Probably. Because I had better range on that before than I do now. Okay. Give it one more shot. Wide open right at the curb.
Ooh.
shifted the pinion. Man, I thought for sure he'd come out and just blast this. You know what?
It didn't happen.
Oh yeah, it's broke. Oh, that might be really bad. That was the last run of the day. Kind of blew the guts out of it this time. ESC and receiver popped out, and I also may have broken the motor because this is one of the motor mount screws, and this time it's hurt. So hopefully it didn't rip this out of the threads, which it probably did. If it did, this motor's gone because I won't be able to tighten this back end to hold it in place. So it might be time to jump up to the next motor. I'm not getting more than 35 and a half out of it. So the record of 40 is safe for now, which nobody's hit, but nobody hit today either.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm looking at the after the fact data, and I'm finding out that all of these little screws that hold the transmission together are loose, and the screws actually backed out of the motor. And that's a good thing because maybe it still has some threads I can get in there with and put it back together. But when I do that, this time I'm going to put it together with Loctite, because this is a metal transmission and you don't want to over torque these screws because they'll just strip out. It's aluminum. So that's the good news. Bad news is I have to take this all apart again. Didn't want to have to do that, but in order to get to the screws behind the spur gear, I have to do that. So one more time taking it apart. This time I'll glue it together with that Loctite, and it'll be ready for hopefully another run later on. What I'm gonna do next may actually be dangerous. I'm not sure, but I'm not gonna put myself in line with this tire other than my arm, because I've just figured out in order to go 43 miles an hour, this has to hit 70 kilometers per hour. So here we go. Hopefully I don't get hurt doing this. And something just the gears again lost their grip. It's separated the gears from the motor again. See that? The drive shaft's turning, the motor and the transmission's turning, but it's not hooking to the motor because it literally shook itself to pieces. 66 kilometers an hour. Let's figure out what that is in miles per hour. Well, that's 41 miles an hour, but 41 miles an hour on a dyno is completely different than outside on the street. So if it can't even keep itself together here, I don't expect it to on the street anymore. So I'm gonna have to figure out. I think I know what I'm gonna do. It's probably not advised, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Let's make sure the tire stayed on the beads. Tell you what, the RC four-wheel drive bead locks are really holding together nicely. I don't know if you saw how big that tire swelled up, but I did not know if that was gonna stay in one piece. I'm glad it did. I think once you get these things up around 40, there's so much vibration that it just doesn't know what to do with itself. So 40 is going to be tough. That's a strong run. I have another idea I could try if this doesn't work. I'll have to think about it, figure out how to make it work.